Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Douglas Adams wrote and released The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in 1979. Readers love the book's funny, caustic take on a space opera. From a 1978 radio serial through a novel series, a 1981 TV series, theatrical productions, comic books, a computer game, and most recently, a feature film adaptation, the plot has been reimagined numerous times. Most adaptations are based on the novels, which are highly known and widely circulated. However, the ending of the first novel is often changed to be more optimistic. When Earth is demolished to make way for an interspace highway, Arthur Dent, a regular Englishman, becomes the only survivor of the planet. As Earth is destroyed, Ford exposes himself to be an extraterrestrial, and saves Arthur by hitchhiking aboard a spaceship to the other side of the galaxy. Zaphod Beeblebrox, the president of the galaxy, and Trillian, a fellow human, join Arthur and Ford in their journey to find the answer to life's ultimate question on a planet controlled by mice. Introduced as a home. It's owned by Arthur Dent, a typical Englishman out for a morning walk with his dog. Because his house stands in the middle of a proposed roadway, the local government wants to demolish it. His dinner is interrupted by the sound of bulldozers outside his window, which he only discovers after it has already begun to rumble. Protesting peacefully in front of the bulldozers, Arthur lays down on the ground. The bulldozer operator confronts him and urges him to get up. Arthur rejects. He claims that the local planning authority made it nearly hard for him to learn about the plans for his house and that this left him with no time to object. Ford, an old acquaintance of Arthur's, shows up. We learn about Ford in the novel, and we learn that Arthur thinks of him as weird, yet he's a nice friend. According to Ford's investigation, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was written by an alien. Arthur's house has been demolished, but Ford doesn't seem to care. Instead, he invites Arthur to the pub to chat about something else. When Arthur refuses to go, Ford persuades the bulldozer operator to lay down in front of the bulldozers. Ford assures Arthur that they can rely on him to be there for the full 12 minutes before the end of the world. The second chapter begins with a comparison of the Encyclopedia Galactica and the Hitchhiker's Guide by the narrator. A recipe for the pan-galactic gargle blaster is provided in the Hitchhiker's Guide, according to the narrator. Having a pan-galactic gargle blaster is like having your brain smashed out by a slice of lemon wrapped around a giant gold brick. Ford gets a large lager and instructs Arthur to do the same because they'll need a muscle relaxant while they're there. For Ford, the world is about to end and he is an alien from Beetlejuice. The Earth is being surrounded by spaceships from other worlds. Any form of ship can be detected by a technology that Ford has. The narrator then informs us that Ford considers a towel to be essential. Towels are the most versatile items in the cosmos, serving a variety of functions. The Hitchhiker's Guide emphasizes the need of having a towel with you at all times. In their return to Ford's home, Arthur discovers that it has been totally demolished. Everyone but Arthur and Ford flee away as he screams at the construction workers. Then the alien ships swoop down and attack. Earth must be demolished to make way for a hyperspace express route to be built, one of the ships announces. The galaxy's plans had been on show in the galaxy's office for a long time, so the humans should have known this was coming. They annihilate the planet once he finishes speaking. Another galaxy's president of the galaxy, Zaphod Beeblebrox, is due to dedicate a new, high-tech spaceship named the Heart of Gold. Beeblebrox is a goofy, humorously stupid man. However, he chooses to steal it rather than dedicate it. In addition, for reasons that remain a mystery, Zaphod has had a second head surgically implanted on his shoulders, dividing his brain in half. Ford and Arthur have gotten a lift back to the alien ship. Ford is certain that the ship belonged to a race known as the Vogons, who are monstrous beings with an inflexible will. They are the galaxy's administrative staff, tasked with completing the paperwork necessary to plan the galaxy's future. Protetnik Vogonjeltz is the fleet's commanding officer. Despite the Vogons' aversion to hitchhikers, a race of Dentrasi cooks snatched up Ford and Arthur in an effort to irritate their bosses. Arthur is in a state of utter disbelief. He has just witnessed the destruction of his home planet and is presently on an alien ship. Ford attempts to soothe him by offering him some peanuts. Because he doesn't want to explain anything to him, Ford gives him the Hitchhiker's Guide as a gift. You read from an electronic book called The Guide by speaking into the device. A passage on the topic will then be loaded. As the guide warns Arthur, on no account allow a Vogon to read poetry at you, do not let any Vogon to read poetry to him. A yellow fish must be put in Arthur's ear according to Ford's instructions, which Arthur accepts. You may recognize this small fish as the babblefish, an extraterrestrial fish that feed on brain energy and translates languages so that they can be understood by everyone. As a result, Arthur is now able to understand the wagon. There are hitchhikers on board, and Jeltz inquires about their whereabouts. The narrator tells us that wagon poetry is the third worst in the galaxy at the beginning of the next chapter. Internal bleeding can occur as a result of the second worst poison, that of the Azagothans. Poetry created by Paul and Nancy Millstone Jennings of Greenbridge in Essex, England, was destroyed along with the earth, but their work is still regarded as the worst of all time. In a spacious room, Jeltz began reading his poetry to Arthur and Ford. They can either be ejected out the airlock or inform Jeltz whether or not his poetry was good after that. Jeltz doesn't trust Arthur when he says it was good. He gives the order for them to be tossed overboard. While floating in space with only 30 seconds of oxygen, the narrator tries to explain how mind-bogglingly big space is and how astronomical your chances of being picked up by another ship are. The odds are 2 to the power of 267, 791 to 1 according to the narrator. It just so happens that number corresponds to an Islington London flat where Arthur once had a chance encounter with an attractive female partygoer. Arthur and Ford are saved by a passing ship just in time. In the end, they are saved by Zaphod's stolen ship, the Heart of Gold. From inside the ship, Arthur and Ford can only make out what appears to be the English seaside town of Southend. Then, things take on an even stranger tangency. In their room, the sea remains calm as skyscrapers rise and fall around them. Ford's transformation into a penguin is complete. In a loudspeaker announcement, they are greeted to the Heart of Gold, where they are given some odds for their rescue. Ford has come to terms with the fact that they have boarded a vessel powered by an infinite improbability drive. It's explained to us by the narrator that this is a special kind of engine designed to move over the vast expanses of space by going through every potential outcome until it finds the one it desires, which is to say, getting to another location. As a result of its fast journey, those on board experience a complete metamorphosis before it reaches its destination. The ship's control room is occupied by Zaphod and Trillian. In spite of Zaphod's displeasure, Trillian explains to him that the ship picked up the hitchhikers on its own. Marvin, the ship's robot, will be sent below to bring the newcomers back to the surface, the two decide. Depressed robot Marvin has no desire to do anything. He also claims that the ship has what he calls genuine people personalities, which he explains to Arthur. This means that the components of the ship that work for you, like the automatic doors, also communicate and tell you how pleased they are to open for you, etc. While taking Ford and Arthur to the control room, Marvin tells them that Zaphod has hijacked the ship. Trillian in the control room notices how odd it is that they picked up hitchhikers in sectors EZ9 plural Z Alpha, which is where she was born. She doesn't trust Zaphod when he claims he has no memory of how he got there. Eddie, the ship's computer, has a cheerful and eager voice. In Zaphod's eyes, he is an enemy. Marvin introduces Ford and Arthur to Zaphod, who Arthur recognizes. The story goes that he was at a party in Islington, London, and met a great girl, but Zaphod kept interrupting him. In order for the girl to join him, Zaphod convinced her that he was an alien. It was agreed upon, and she departed. When Trillian enters the room, the story is revealed to be about her. Tricia Macmillan was Tricia Macmillan on Earth, but she changed her name to Trillian when she departed the Earth. Next, Ford and Arthur have their own rooms, and everyone tries to get some shut-eye in the midst of the commotion. Watching her beloved white mice keeps Trillian awake. In the morning, she wakes Zaphod and informs him that they've arrived at their last destination. Zaphod is in ecstasy, to say the least. There is a mythological planet called Magrathea that the narrator tells us about, but no one believes it exists anymore. Magrathea, on the other hand, was formerly a planet that manufactured other planets for the exceedingly wealthy. Because they made so much money, no one could afford them. Magrathea vanished during a galactic economic crisis. Arthur wakes up on the spacecraft to the sound of Zaphod and Ford fighting. Zaphod thinks the planet they've landed on is Magrathea, however Ford disagrees. They keep arguing until Arthur says that the anticipation is killing him. In light of the fact that stress can kill you, the narrator sets the record straight right away. Magrathea is definitely the name of the planet. There will be no one harmed, but Trillian's mouse cage will be destroyed by 2 missiles that are ready to be launched at the spacecraft. In a recorded message, the planet informs the spacecraft that the planet is now closed and thank them for their attention. In the face of this, Zaphod goes ahead and attempts to bring the ship down. At this point, the ship's crew is informed that 2 nuclear missiles are en route to it. Eddie merely starts singing when the ship is unable to take any evasive efforts to maneuver out of the danger. Arthur activates the improbability drive in a matter of seconds. However, rather of propelling them through the universe, the drive just influenced the environment in which they existed. Consequently, the missiles took on the appearances of a petunia plant and a whale. As the sperm whale makes its way nearer the shore, the narrator describes the thoughts racing through its mind. Only that it thought, oh no, not again, about the petunias. For him, it would be a game changer if we could understand why the petunias believe this. This includes Marvin, who decides to go on a surface exploration mission. It dawns on Trillian that one of her pet mice had escaped. In the narrator's opinion, no one else is concerned because they don't know how much behind dolphins and mice people actually rank in terms of intelligence. Zaphod has transformed Eddie's exuberant demeanor into that of a doting mother. As a result, the crew is warned not to venture outside of their ship's confines since they could develop a cold. Axe-wielding Zaphod gets the spacecraft to open its doors for them. After Magrathea is destroyed, the group discovers a tunnel that descends beneath the surface. Zaphod tells them that no one liked the surface very much in Magrathea, where everyone resided underground. To keep Arthur and Marvin safe, Zaphod instructs them to keep an eye on the tunnel's entrance. Ford asks Zaphod how he discovered the planet. According to Zaphod, things tend to go his way when he doesn't give any thought to how or why they're going his way. His thoughts had turned to it the night before, though, when he became aware that a portion of his brain was blocked by a note with the initials of a mysterious party who had visited him. ZB were the initials of the person. Suddenly, a deadly gas sweeps into the tunnel and paralyzes everyone, preventing them from further discussion. Arthur, meantime, is reading the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy to pass the time on the surface. After a night out on the town with Zaphod, he learns about a young genius who grew fixated on the mystery of where lost ballpoint pens end up. But no one believes him, so he came up with the idea that they went to a different planet. According to him, he had both a residence and a job in the area at one point. Still, no one has faith in his story. However, the guide points out that Zaphod's used ballpoint pen business is a little out of the ordinary. Instead of continuing his quest for knowledge, Arthur tries talking with Marvin, who is only able to express his sorrow for the world. Arthur then chooses to go for a walk, when he encounters an elderly gentleman. The old man assures Arthur that he has no malice toward him. This is what Arthur points out, and the old man responds, the computer just does that without direction because it is bored. Until the economy improves, Magratheans will just be resting, and when it does they'll get back to constructing personalized worlds, the old man says Arthur. If he doesn't accompany him, he'll be late. When Arthur inquires as to why he will be late, the old man explains that he meant dead. As soon as Arthur accepts, the two board his air car. Slarty Bartfast is the name of the elderly man Arthur meets. As the narrator points out, humans aren't the most intelligent creature on Earth, despite their belief. In their minds, the ability to construct cities and weapons made humans superior to other species. While humans were the most intelligent creature on the planet, dolphins were actually the second smartest. The dolphins were the first to learn of Earth's demise and were able to flee before the Vogons arrived. So goodbye and thanks for all the fish, the dolphins said in an effort to warn humans. However, the human race was unable to comprehend them. Nerds who were intelligent than dolphins and humans on Earth were found to spend their time running on plastic wheels in laboratories. In Magrathea's factory floor, Slarty Bartfast leads Arthur to see how the planets are made. A new Earth is being constructed at the time. To Arthur's surprise, he reveals that they built the first Earth together and that he was recognized for their work on the Norwegian fjords. According to him, Earth was purchased by hyper-intelligent pan-dimensional entities who only look like mice in our dimension, the mice. To solve a specific problem, they built Earth as a gigantic computer. Slarty Bartfast explains this to Arthur, who is very perplexed. The quest to discover the meaning of life began millions of years ago when a group of highly intelligent pan-dimensional entities made the decision to embark on it. A computer called Deep Thought was created in order to tackle the issue. It took 7.5 million years for Deep Thought to figure it out, according to Deep Thought. The computer's immortal creators returned 7 million years later to hear the answer. Thousands of people have assembled to hear what the speaker has to say. In spite of Deep Thought's warnings, the builders insist on hearing the solution. The answer is 42, it said. The explanation has displeased the construction workers. According to Deep Thought, they didn't ask it a question at all. To get to the solution, they have to track down the query. There will be a new computer the size of a planet built by Deep Thought, and it will be so complex that it will be able to live. The answer, according to Deep Thought, will take 10 million years. The planet was given the name Earth, but the engineers think it's a dreary moniker. That, according to Deep Thought, is the point. A solid gold planet greeted Zaphod, Ford, and Trillian when they awoke. Rather, Ford adds, they're within Magrathea's virtual reality library, which showcases the company's planet-building capabilities, rather than on a real planet. Rather than focusing on the passing planets, the three opt to focus on Zaphod's brain. A section of his brain has been blocked off to prevent him from remembering things, he claims. But he has no idea what it is. Uden Branks, a former president of Galaxy, is a person he knows something about. Branks told Zaphod to steal the heart of gold before he passed away. For the sake of brain scanning when he was elected, Zaphod had to cover up why he stole it. This explains Zaphod's decision to sequester his mind. The catalog ends, and a voice informs that the mice will see them now, while he continues to explain. Slarty Bartfast tells Arthur that Earth is a computer, and that all life on it is a part of the system. The Vogons killed it just as it was about to give the answer. They resolved to reconstruct it, so Magratheans did. They are going to meet the mice, he tells Arthur. It's Trillian, Zaphod, and Ford waiting for him in the room. They've had a lot to eat. Arthur's pals present him to the two white mice who will be his hosts for the night. Benji and Frankie are the names of Trillian's pet mice. There is no need for a new Earth after all, the mice inform Slarty Bartfast. According to them, Arthur's brain may have the answer they're looking for because he was on Earth at the time of the explosion. They inform him that they intend to buy his brain, chop it up, and use the question as a research tool. The mice order Arthur to be confined because he refuses to have his brain sliced up. But alarms go off around the world before they can do anything else. Finally, the mice have had enough and come up with their own talk show and book deal question. After much deliberation, they settle on the question: how many roads must a man walk? And the response 42, respectively. The sirens are going off, and Arthur and his buddies are trying to get out and figure out what's going on. Zaphod has been apprehended by the Galactic Police for stealing the heart of gold. They flee behind a massive computer as the police open fire. The PC begins to overheat. Ford investigates why the police officers had ceased to fire. All of their life support systems have stopped working. Ford is perplexed by this, but the team manages to sneak back to the ship in Slarty Bartfast's abandoned air car. Nearby is the police vessel. Marvin clarifies that he was referring to the ship, which committed suicide, and that's why the police officer's life support system failed. Arthur peruses the guide while on board the cruise. Survival, inquiry, and sophistication are all stages of civilization, according to the narrator. Eating is used as an example in this section. Survival: how do we get our daily calorie intake? Reasons for eating: we'd want to have lunch someplace classy. The book concludes with Zaphod's announcement that they will eat at the restaurant at the end of the universe. Arthur Dent, the lead character of the novel. An ordinary Englishman is transported into a universe populated by extraterrestrials and spacecraft. Because the novel is a comedy, Arthur's responses to discovering aliens in our galaxy are only semi-realistic. He asks a lot of questions in the book that help the reader understand what he is talking about. It is Arthur's normality that allows the reader to enter into an otherwise nonsensical, foreign novel. When he wants nothing more than to relax at home with a cup of tea, Arthur is stopped from doing so by forces beyond his control. Most people find it exciting, but he finds it frustrating and exhausting. Arthur, unlike other sci-fi protagonists, is not an adventurer. In reality, he isn't even a hero because he doesn't really accomplish anything heroic in the narrative at all. Thus, he may be one of the most relatable fictional characters ever created. Ford Prefect, Arthur's best friend and an alien from Beetlejuice. At the beginning of the book, Ford has been hiding out on Earth pretending to be a human for a long time. Although he possesses a technology that informs him of extraterrestrial presences outside the Earth, he is plainly prepared for the devastation. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy researcher Ford is tasked with compiling an in-depth guide to everything that makes up our universe. According to this book, its writers are sent out to conduct study by living with the inhabitants and adopting the customs of the planets they are visiting. As someone who rarely frets, Ford isn't afraid to disagree with Zaphod about a mission that he believes will end in the death of the whole crew. When Ford learns that the Earth is about to go up, He appears to care about Arthur enough to save him. Although it's never said, Ford is often a self-serving person, and rescuing a person who has no advantage to him is out of character for him. Nonetheless, he saved him. Ford accomplishes little to save Arthur from the mice at the end of the novel. Zaphod Beeblebrox, the president of the galaxy who kidnaps himself and steals a valuable ship during its grand opening. The character of Zaphod is a typical stupid savant. He appears to be naive and narcissistic. How he became president of the galaxy has been a common topic of conversation. This guy is an actual genius who pretends to know little in order to avoid suspicion. This is Trillian's best guess. Zaphod asked to have his brain surgically divided into two heads so he could pass the test to become president without disclosing his intention to steal the heart of gold and travel to Magrathea. When asked, Zaphod never clearly explains his reasons for wanting to go to Magrathea, but it is implied that he has fond memories of Earth. The man seemed unfazed by the news that the new Earth would not be constructed after all. Trillian, Tricia McMillan, the main female character of the story. She is an astronomer and mathematician who has a burning desire to explore the world outside of England with Zaphod. As a result, she is the complete antithesis of Arthur. Trillian's character, on the other hand, isn't given much else to work with. In this book, we only learn that Zaphod requested her to accompany him so that she could be the ship's captain. She seems to like him, but she also thinks he's a dummy. She does, however, come to suspect that he may be concealing information from her. It's also unclear how Trillian and Arthur's romance is progressing. We're informed they briefly met on Earth and flirted, but it doesn't mean they're still in love. However, Arthur regards her as both beautiful and intelligent. Trillian's character, on the other hand, is better developed in the series' later volumes. Marvin, the robot that comes with the heart of gold spaceship. A suicidal robot named Marvin is able to communicate with other machines, but he can only make them as depressed as he is. After chatting to Marvin, the police ship self-destructs, saving everyone's lives. In the month of March of 1952, Douglas Noel Adams was born in Cambridge, England. When his parents split a few years later, he and his mother and sister went to an animal sanctuary in Essex run by his grandparents, where they stayed for the rest of their lives. Adams grew up in a flash. A 6-footer at age 12, he would grow to a 6'5" frame later in life. In his private school's writing lessons, he excelled, and by the time he was 10, he was being published in the school newspaper. The Footlights, an invitation-only comedy group at his university, accepted him as a member in 1974. After graduating, Adams returned to London to pursue a career as a television writer. He was eventually found by Monty Python star Graham Chapman, and the two collaborated on a short-lived scriptwriting project together. In the 4th season of Monty Python's Flying Circus, Adams appeared. However, after that, Adams' career went into a brief hiatus. A series of odd jobs led to him being hired as a script editor for the popular British sci-fi show, Doctor Who, after he sold a few radio broadcasts. On his radio show in 1977, Adams proposed The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. While drinking and lying in the field in Austria, he came up with the concept. Hitchhiker's Guide to Europe was with him, and he wondered why no one had published A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Following the success of the radio program in 1979, Adams published a novel in the series and quickly followed it up with 5 more novels. Adams started talks in 1980 to turn the series into a film and the following year managed to make it a popular BBC television show. Polly Adams, the couple's first child, was born in 1994, and the Adamses settled in Santa Barbara, California. As well as writing and publishing several more books during the 1980s, Adams also wrote another series, Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. At a California gym in May of 2001, Adams succumbed to a heart attack and died. Remains were returned to Highgate Cemetery in London after his funeral in California. His wife and daughter returned to London as a result of this. To honor his memory, a film adaptation of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was released in 2005 to generally positive reviews. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.